Mhm. I didn't record. There it is. Okay. Oh, okay, so we're ready.
Ready? Okay, thank you very much. Welcome to this Board of Commissioners GHURA meeting. Thank you. Welcome to this Board of Commissioners regularly scheduled meeting, 12:07 p.m. on July 7th, here at GHURA's main office. We will begin with roll call. Let's begin with Vice Chair Sanchez. Thank you very much. Commissioner Rice. Present. Thank you very much. Commissioner Shizaki.
Here.
Thank you very much. And I know Commissioner Delia is out and Commissioner Cortez is also out. We have quorum, and let's proceed with item number 2. Board meeting public announcements. First printing on Monday, July 3rd, which is located in the packet. That is there. And the second printing of Sunday, July 9th, is also in the packet. And that checks out. Thank you very much. All in order, let us move on to item number 3, the approval of the previous board minutes of June 20. Located in the packet. Correction on page 12, under the action column, 8-23. At the end of that, there should be a motion. Neither correction. If none, I get a motion for tax.
So I move to approve the minutes of Board of Commissioners meeting on June 20 at 7:00 p.m.
Subject to corrections.
Subject.
And thank you very much. Motion on the floor is to approve the minutes of June 20th. Subject to corrections, and I have a second by the vice chair. Any further issue on, any further discussion on the matter? No. Hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote? All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand so I can see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to new business, item number 4, resolution number FY 2023-017. Madam Director.
Thank you, Chairman John. Resolution commending Ms. Betty C. Bamba, Housing Specialist Supervisor, for her dedication and contributions to the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, GHURA. Whereas prior to joining the GHURA team, Ms. Betty C. Bamba worked for the Department of Revenue and Taxation as a private secretary in the unclassified service for almost 4 years, from 1979 through 1982. And whereas in January 1987, Ms. Bamba started her employment with GHURA as the private secretary to the executive director and later reclassified to an executive secretary on November 1987. And whereas Ms. Bamba converted to the classified service as a program coordinator too, between the research, planning, and evaluation and community development divisions respectively, until her resignation on March 2000. And whereas a year later, in July 2001, Ms. Bamba returned to the GHURA team as a housing assistant program specialist for the Section 8 division and was subsequently promoted in June 2006 as a contract control analyst. And whereas in February 2007, Ms. Bamba was reclassified to the position she holds today as a housing specialist supervisor. And whereas in total, Ms. Bamba dedicated over 27 years of service in support of the mission and goals of the authority. And whereas in her efforts and supervision in the Section 8 division had a direct and positive impact to our island community, housing hundreds of families during her tenure. And whereas the Board of Commissioners extends its recognition and gratitude to Ms. Betty C. Bamba, commending her on her retirement from the authority and extending best wishes on her future endeavors. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the chairman of the Board of Commissioners shall certify and the executive director attest the adoption hereof, resolution number FY 2023-017, and that thereafter it shall be presented to Ms. Betty C. Bamba, whereby a copy shall be placed in her official personnel file and a copy provided to the governor of Guam.
Thank you very much. Ms. Betty, would you like to join me up here? And as is our tradition, after 27 years of service, all right, what are you gonna do next? No, it's not. It's
Enjoy the, actually, for the next 2 months, I'd probably really sleep in as long as possible. And work on like a lot of projects and just enjoy feeling this, reveling. I'm going to continue to revel in this wonderful feeling that I left GHURA with, and just going to continue on. And Social Security, I'll still finish. So maybe after, maybe next year.
Okay.
So I can cash it in at 71.
Right.
It's wonderful feeling of retirement, the load of retirement until then. So anyway, it won't be a full time and it will be a few quarters, so hopefully it'll go fast and I'll be back to the mode again. Thank you so much.
Right. Would anybody else like to add to that?
Norma.
Ms. Norma? You have to come up here for a video lab, right?
Oh, is this easier?
Yes, absolutely.
The
whole island, the whole island.
I went to the store yesterday and the wind is, out in the ocean. I didn't have time.
You're retired.
Right.
You're retired.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like put on the lipstick and.
You're a YouTube star right now. Right?
Well, on behalf of Section 8, we appreciate Betty's contribution. She's a team player and we're doing really great at Section 8 and we appreciate everything that she's done. Thank you, Betty.
Enjoy it.
and Good luck.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, yes, because that's for me.
Right.
As a small token of our gratitude and appreciation of your many years of service, Betty, just a small.
Thank you. Oh, that's beautiful.
I can't read because I forgot
Looks
my
like.
glasses.
Me too.
All right, here, right here.
Just need to-
Retirement award is presented to Miss Betty C. Bamba in recognition of distinguished service, contribution, and dedication to the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority. But most importantly, your dedication to public service and the people of Guam and providing them housing. So thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Betty will be sorely missed.
Thank you. GHURA really helped me to reach the goal and the level of a professional public servant. So I have to thank my years of service here and the leadership who mentored me to achieve those goals. So thank you.
Please stand up and stay right here and we'll take a picture right after, but let's do this right. And there's a resolution on the floor, resolution number FY 2023-017. May I get a motion on the floor?
Mr. Chairman, I proudly motion resolution number FY 2023-017. Resolution commending Ms. Betty C. Bamba, Housing Specialist Supervisor, for her dedication and contributions to the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority and Family Act. Thank you, and most importantly, to the individuals you, Simona, have impacted positively through the years of your service and commitment and public service. And many of these people don't get a chance to see you. You're always, you folks are behind the curtains, behind the scenes, making facilitating possibilities to get our community homes. Thank you.
I'm more than honored and privileged to have done that job, and the impact to so many fortunate, less fortunate families. That's very, very gratifying.
You gave yourself an eternal karma for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Yes.
It's been a wonderful career, and just seeing the fruits of our labor has really comforted me and given me so much joy and pride in the work that we do here in our region. Thank you to the leadership, and you all don't get paid for this, so whereas I got paid. I get from his heart.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Right.
For the service.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, for the motion. May I get a second?
I'll second.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner, for the second. Any further discussion on the issue? Hearing and seeing
I
none.
do-
Oh,
I have,
Commissioner,
since I'm not there, Miss Betty, congratulations and thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. It's been an honor.
thank you very much, Commissioner. Hearing and seeing no more discussion, I may call officially for the vote. All in favor, please say aye, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you very much. Resolution number FY 2023-017 passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Hey, Carlos.
When Norma calls you into her office.
No.
Which is rare.
Right.
Boy, girl, boy, girl.
Girl.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. All 9. 1, 2. Beautiful.
Very nice.
Her bros.
So sorry.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1 more. Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you.
A lot of comments as I would have gotten my hair done.
You and me home.
You're on retirement mode.
Yes.
You are in doubt. All right, congratulations.
Yes. Ms. Bamba? This is yours.
Oh.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you. Like you, Chris.
Wow. Honored. All right. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Moving on to new business. Item number 2, resolution number FY 2023-18. Madam Director.
Thank you, Chairman. Resolution number FY 2023-018. Resolution to approve and create positions in the Public Housing Section 8 and Procurement Divisions. Whereas pursuant to Section 5104, Title 12 of the Guam Code Annotated, the Board of Commissioners of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, GHURA, is given the right and responsibility to govern and control the operations of the authority and to establish policies for its day-to-day operations, and generally to undertake its responsibilities as supreme authority for the agency. And whereas the GHURA Board of Commissioners is empowered to establish a position classification and pay plan for each class of position necessary to carry out the responsibilities of the authority, and is subject to the GHURA classification and salary administration plan of the authority. And whereas the Board of Commissioners recognizes that the authority has continued with FY 2008 U.S. HUD mandate to convert public housing to asset-based management, and as a result, recognizes these new creation of positions are needed to provide better efficient work processes under the asset management model. And whereas the Board of Commissioners further recognizes that the creations for the Section 8 and procurement divisions are also necessary under the principles of classification of, in quotes, equal pay for equal work, end quote. And whereas the Board of Commissioners acknowledges that the HR staff completed the necessary creation requirements as set forth in Board 4 GCA subset 63031A for the creation of positions. And whereas the Board of Commissioners desires to amend GHURA's organization plan as adopted in the fiscal year 2023 budget by establishing the following creation of positions for the Public Housing Section 8 and Procurement Divisions. Resident Relations Specialist, pay grade M, Hay Evaluation, Know-how E112200, Problem Solving D3 3366, Accountability D1S 76, total points 342. Housing Administrative Officer, pay grade L, Hay Evaluation, Know-how E12 175, Problem Solving D3 33 57, Accountability D1S 66, total points 306. Housing Facilities Assistant, pay grade J, Hay Evaluation, Know-how D, I believe that's an I, sorry, DI2 152, Problem Solving C2 2233, Accountability C1C 38, total points 223. Housing Inspector Supervisor, pay grade O, Hay Evaluation, Know-how II 264, problem solving E3 33 87, accountability E1S 100, total points 451. Housing procurement administrator, pay grade P. Hay evaluation, know-how EII 2304, problem solving E3 38115, accountability E1S 115, total points 534. Whereas funding for these creation of positions are available under Public Housing, Section 8, and COCC funds, respectively. And now, therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to 4 GCA Section 6303, the authority now creates and establishes said positions into the classified service. And we do have our HR administrator, Ms. Kim Berseman. Should you have any specific questions regarding this resolution to approve and create these positions?
Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
That's good.
Right.
Oh, here. So within the 5 positions that we are either, so we have none right now, so.
Right.
Okay.
So, thank you, Commissioners of the day.
Thank you. Thank you.
As the Director Liz presented, we are seeking your review and approval for the creations of these 5 new positions. They are specific to GHURA. They don't exist now until the board reviews it and approves it accordingly. And it's specific to GHURA. I can't re-emphasize that again. And we have met the necessary creation disclosure requirements, which requires posting in the website, the analysis, posting in the newspaper for public comment. So that's the print media. We sent it out to the radio stations for their public comment. So we tried to get as much as required in the law. So that has already been met. So now we're here today respectfully requesting your review and approval. We always try to use positions that are already established in Gulf Guam, but over the years, the job has changed and evolved. The last time the board created positions was 15 years ago. So as you can see, it evolved, and this process has been budgeted for the past several years. It just takes a long time to work with the departments to get their PDs and then emergencies and other priorities shift. So it's a long process. And so the first 3 positions have been in the making for a long time. The Section 8 position was at the request of the late director, Osmia, to say, Kim, we can't, principles of classification, we can't be using a program coordinator for housing inspection supervisor. That's not right. And so at the request of the late director, we included that review. And then finally, we saw the writing on the wall with the housing procurement. It's no longer just applying management administrator, it's the entire procurement umbrella. So basically, in a nutshell, based on the job description, the proposed job description, using the Hay methodology Director Liz read out, those points of know-how, problem solving, and accountability come up with those corresponding pay grades. And so with that, we are respectfully requesting to create the resident relations specialist to pay grade M, the housing administrative officer to pay grade L, the housing facilities assistant to pay grade J, and then the Section 8 housing inspection supervisor, and then the housing procurement administrator.
So do we have folks that are kind of quasi filling in these roles for now?
Yes, and they've been, so technically the resident relations specialist is being performed by the housing specialist, but that job didn't incorporate or evolve into more emphasis on the landlord function.
So they're doing.
The issuing citations, the case management in terms of counseling, resolving conflict, just the whole gamut of being a landlord.
So does
So-
this, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. So I think maybe Kim, the reason that like for some of these positions, for example, the resident relations specialist, housing administrative officer, housing facilities assistant. And yeah, for those ones, you know, there were titles that seemed similar between the public housing specialist, because they have the same title, housing specialist in public housing and housing specialist in Section 8. However, their responsibilities are totally different. That's why the housing resident relations specialist and housing administrative officer and housing facilities assistant, those are really more for public housing, the public housing side of the programs. And they really, if you read through the proposed job descriptions, they really encompass a lot more responsibility, different than our housing specialists on the Section 8 side, particularly because we are the landlords for our public housing units. So they entail, you know, so many more responsibilities than the Section 8 housing specialists have on their side of the housing program. So I just wanted to add that, so maybe you understand why we had to kind of differentiate between those positions, the public housing and the Section 8 housing specialists, by creating, you know, a more appropriate title, I feel.
May I also add, and as an example, with the housing facilities assistant. And so, you know, prior to, these are the folks down at public housing that order the consumable and replacement parts. And that was mostly classified as just doing data entry, but it's so much more than that. They maintain, you know, the warehouse, the tracking, that's all tracked, and part of the functions that HUD looks at, right, and how we spend and make sure that the parts are there. So there's the warehousing aspect and supply management that's not otherwise included in the standard GovWAM description and associated pay. And so we wanted to highlight what they're actually doing and the functions that they're performing. Same thing with the administrative, housing administrative officer,
Right.
is, you know, as when HUD decentralized the property sites, a lot of the functions is probably a little bit more akin to an ASO that you would find
Yeah.
in the government agent, the line agencies, but aside from standard GovWAM responsibilities, they also have many HUD responsibilities that they have to account for, that we wanted to distinguish and differentiate with what their functions are.
And capture
I
proper
capture.
classification.
No, this makes a lot of sense. I've seen in other systems, even at the University of Guam, when I was there, the misalignment, right? The misalignment, right? With regard to trying to classify people with regard to the what the government had already in their books and what the functions were. And so,
What they're performing.
yeah, absolutely. And it always came, the problem always comes when then you're trying to do a performance evaluation.
Yep, it's
And you
all
can't
tied
do a
together.
performance evaluation based on functions that they don't do, but they're required to. So, do you anticipate any more of this coming in the near future?
There might be an A&E request and maybe one more from public housing, but we still need to,
And how long did you say it took you to start to finish?
this
Well,
massage.
I guess let me clarify that question.
Making process.
If you did not have any stalls, how long would it take you to complete something like this? And
As
then,
these guys know, maybe a good 6 months,
Okay.
something.
At the quickest.
That's the
Sure.
quickest.
Yeah.
Ms. Liz and Mr. Esteves were kind enough to work with our
Okay.
manpower and the priorities that we face with recruitment. Recruitment's always priority.
Sure.
Classification, training takes the back seat.
Okay,
And might I add, right, position right sizing has to come before, you know, consideration of the pay structure, right? That's probably the lower hanging fruit and probably the more judicious thing to do is to right size the position based on performance or based on function.
I guess my last question for the record would be, so how does, with these new positions, I understand the functionality, but for the record, how does this create mobility or pathway for our folks to grow and develop?
Oh, absolutely. I think this path is ultimately, we want to put them and succession plan into supervisory positions, have that long-term career in public housing or Section 8, be able to cross one day. But this gives them their stepping stone to perform to the next level from a housing facilities assistant to the housing admin officer, from there to the property site manager. I mean, that's the path that we want to start developing
It's great. motivation
and advancing
framework.
and growing our team. This is the next group that's going to replace,
Sure.
sorry, us.
All right. No, and I think that that's an important part of this, right? The other organizations where we sit or where I sit, that pathway, right, is an important piece to try to encourage, motivate, and incentivize people not only to come here because they see that there's more, but also just to articulate, right? So it's important that we do.
And it's a lot of work. You see the proposed job description, it's a lot of work.
Okay.
Solidifying the generation.
I don't have any more questions. Commissioners, do you have any more questions? Keith, do you have any questions? Okay. So if there's no more questions, right, may I call for the vote?
And then I motion to approve resolution number FY 2023-018, resolution to create an approved position in public housing section 8 of procurement divisions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair. I may get a second on the motion.
I'll second
Thank you, Commissioner Rice, for the second. Any further discussion on the matter? Hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you very much, Commissioners. Motion passes unanimously for resolution number FY 2023-018. Right? Thank you, Ms. Kim, for your work on it. Thanks. Thank you for everybody to help. Moving on to resolution number FY 2023-19. Madam Director.
Thank you. Resolution to approve the amendment of the position for the property site manager, resolution number FY 2023-019. Whereas pursuant to section 5104, title 12 of the Guam Code annotated, the Board of Commissioners of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, GHURA, is given the right and responsibility to govern and control the operations of the authority and to establish policies for its day-to-day operations, and generally to undertake its responsibilities as supreme authority for the agency. And whereas the GHURA Board of Commissioners is empowered to establish a position classification and pay plan for each class of position necessary to carry out the responsibilities of the authority, and is subject to the GHURA classification and salary administration plan of the authority. And whereas the Board of Commissioners recognizes that the authority has continued with FY 2008 U.S. HUD mandate to convert public housing to asset-based management, and as a result, recognizes these new creation of positions are needed to provide better efficient work processes under the asset management model. And whereas the Board of Commissioners further recognizes that the amendment of the property site manager is necessary under the principles of classification of equal pay for equal work, considering how the job has evolved since its creation in 2007. And whereas the Board of Commissioners acknowledges that the HR staff completed the necessary creation requirements as set forth in 4 GCA subset 6303E1 for the amendment of the position. And whereas the Board of Commissioners desires to amend GURA's organization plan as adopted in the fiscal year 2023 budget by establishing the amendment of the position for the property site manager. Property site manager, pay grade P, Hay evaluation, know-how FII 3304, problem solving E3 38115, accountability EIS 100, total points 519. Whereas funding for the amendment of position is available under public housing funds, and now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to 4 GCA section 6303, the authority approves the amendment to the property site manager position in the classified service. And again, Ms. Kim is available should you have any questions on what the amendment was for the property site manager position.
Could you speak a little bit to the evolution of the position?
Sure,
from
thank you.
2020?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the board again. Basically, when we were mandated back in 2007 to convert to asset management, we needed to create a property site manager for each development. So this manager was responsible for the entire development, from paperwork, from the case management to the maintenance to the facilities, the entire thing. So that was created 15 years ago. Fast forward to 2015, we further decentralized 3 components. We centralized small procurement down to the ants. We further decentralized accounts payable and accounts receivable. And those duties wasn't factored in the Hay methodology. The team from DOA looked at part 2 of the reevaluation of the pay jobs. And so in my consultation with DOA, that was an easy fix. But of course, we can't do anything because in HR, there's a process. I need a PD, work with them, make sure everything is documented and accordingly. But they had the support long time ago. We just needed to put it down in black and white and do the analysis.
Okay.
And so that's where we are today. It is a big job. The supervisors in Guam who don't have near enough responsibility and accountability as these guys do are the same grade. It doesn't make sense. And so I respectfully request the amendment to their job as well as the grade. So that's what I'm respectfully requesting. And I have some PSMs here that can help
So our
me
folks
out.
have been holding this down for the last decade or more, or
Over
without.
15 years, but then we further decentralized more in 2015, so about 7 years.
Is there more decentralization coming?
I think that's about it.
That's
Yeah.
about.
I think they have too much other. I think we
Already.
completed almost the full model of what the asset management HUD wanted it to run, like a
What their
mini
expectations are.
GURA, where they make the decision. And as we've been studying, Dr. Chairman, decentralized customer service is right up front, the decision making is faster, the decision. So all the positive things of decentralization, where our tenants, our families, our residents are bearing the fruits of that.
So we pass.
Except the CFCC,
Yeah, that's good.
the funding changed. Other than that,
So we've definitely experienced good feedback from decentralizing from the time that we're in the inception.
oh
period.
yeah, the
Yeah.
decisions are made faster.
Yeah,
One person
efficiency.
doesn't sit here and you have to wait to carry the documents or talk about the issues. The issues are at the end.
They're
And they're
addressed right
seated
then.
they're stationed at the development. So
Did you encounter any hiccups from decentralizing, unforeseen circumstances or situations or events that could, throw out a wrench? in the
no, I
system?
think so far we've been following the model. I think we successfully converted. And I think if I'm not right, Philly, we recommended that Guam did it. We transitioned, so I think that was a very positive, and we're continuing the decentralized model that had.
Yeah, we have good employees here, so I don't see the lack of quality in terms of troubleshooting any unforeseen.
Except the funding source, it changed. It went from
That's, yeah,
the central office directly to the apps, and that's what it's intended for.
right.
So if they're successful, then the COCC will be successful, and that's our job, is to make them successful.
Absolutely. So just maintain the healthy symbiotic environment, right?
Yeah, there's still communication. I mean, they decentralized in operations, so, you know, they're still part of the family and it allows the ability to kind of work together still, right? And, you know, help each other out. And that's where we come in, you know, to make sure that they have the resources and support that they need overall. So,
Stay efficient.
correct. And so there's still procedural stuff, you know, in terms of workflow, and that's mostly just to increase efficiency and accountability as we go through. So it's a constant work in progress, but the model works. The model works well. It's just continuous fine tuning, right, as we learn.
You know, keep it fine tuning and maintaining that. Keep it sort of sharp.
Mhm.
Yeah, at all times.
I'll continue to cry COCC because the funding, the arrows
Yeah.
went the other way,
Yeah,
but you know, it's intended, what it's for.
Sure. Good. I think that's good. Sure.
I think my only other question is, you know, looking at the minimum experience and training,
Mhm.
that seems like a tall order. I mean, not that it's bad, but I'm just, how is our pool for folks like this?
Well, we have the internal staff, those positions you created
Right,
already gives them that
that ladder,
ability to get the creditable experience
Okay.
for it. It's just a supervisory, you need to give them that opportunity. So when they go on leave, people that cover are the resident relations, the ones
Okay.
that's created. And that will get them the opportunity to have that path,
okay,
And the opportunity to.
compete.
And there's still you know, we, you know, government service, there's always the ability to consider any relevant.
Creditable experience.
Creditable
Thank you for that.
experience, yeah, so there's kind of the catch-all there. It is a tall order, right? You know, A is always what we
It's a
would
big
like to
job.
see, but it really is a big job, yeah, there's. You know, somebody coming in cold, trying to navigate the network that is HUD regulations and all the federal statutes, you could spend a whole career working on that. We've had some people with a career worth of knowledge and experience in that matter. So, you know, to the extent possible, you know, there's a preference for experience, but we're always willing to work with, you know.
And to add to Deputy Director's point is the B allows people in the private sector who are real estate managers, property site managers, so it
Related
allows them to
Yeah.
come under the B, the equivalency.
okay,
But they have to be of professional caliber. I mean, that's what, you know, A highlights, right? So the equivalent, so A sets that bar, and then B, you know, will consider the culmination, but to the standard that we're looking for in terms of the minimum experience and training.
It's a big job.
It really is.
If I may add, Chairman, if you were to take a look at a lot of our division managers, actually, many of them have been here decades, and actually they've gone from one division to another. They've been cross-trained in the many programs that GHURA has to offer. And I think long-term succession planning wise, we are encouraging our staff to, you know, tell us what their interests are, what they, you know, to apply for positions when they open within, you know, in-house, because they're interested in pursuing another aspect of GHURA's programs, right? So I think the many managers that we have that have been here a long time are a testament to the opportunities that GHURA provides, you know, for them to find their niche. You know, because this is the mission that GHURA has is really something that they have a passion for.
thank you for that, Rita. I'm happy to hear that all of this is leading towards more internal growth and development and opportunities for our folks. But please make sure that we share that with them so that they know that this is not just something they get stuck in, but something that they can progress. Okay,
And it's attainable.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So. Okay, I mean, I have no further questions. Commissioner, do you have anything else? Okay, hearing and seeing none, may I call for a vote? Or motion, sorry.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I will motion to approve resolution number FY 2023-019. Resolution to approve the amendment of position for the property site manager.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair. May I get a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Right, thank you, Commissioner Rice, for the second. Any further discussion on the matter?
Just one detail,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Kim, again and Deputy Director. Just continue to keep us apprised on this because it's actually quite fascinating, at least for me personally. I love the whole idea of decentralizing. So I mean, I've seen how they work and I've seen the ups and downs. So but yeah, this is great feedback. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye, raise your right hand. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Commissioners. Moving on to resolution number FY 2023-20. Madam Director.
Thank you. Resolution number FY 2023-020, resolution approving the annual PHA plan for FY 2024. Before you is BOC resolution number FY 2023-020, which is a resolution approving the annual PHA plan FY 2024. This PHA plan is a comprehensive guide to the authority's policies, programs, operations, and strategies for meeting local housing needs and goals for implementation for the upcoming fiscal year. Here's a summary of what the PHA plan includes. A, information about the authority and where the document was posted for the public to review. B, PHA plan elements. Divisions provided updates on their accomplishments for the year. For example, number 1, operations and management, section 8, housing choice voucher and public housing. Number 2, the homeownership programs. New activities, divisions provided reports on new activities that occurred during the fiscal year. For example, the updated ACUP by including occupancy by over income families. Number 2, the new project activities under the capital fund program that included exterior doors, design and build basketball courts at AMP1, AMP2, AMP3, vacant units approved for modernization. And 3, the use of operating reserves for office expansion. Progress report, the divisions provided descriptions of the authority's progress in meeting its mission and goals. Number 1, section 8 program, the project-based elderly program, HUD Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing Program, or VASH, mainstream non-elderly disabled program, the Family Unification Program. Number 2, the Guam Elderly Program at Guma Tranquilidad, the Affordable Housing and Section 108 Progress Report, Family Self-Sufficiency, Promoting Self-Sufficiency, Public Housing, Improving the Quality of Life and Economic Vitality and Outreach Programs, the A&E Division, educating contractors on the Section 3 regulations, reports and tables, reports on the wait list and occupancy levels, and number 8, FY 2022 audit findings and prior year findings. C, other document and or certification requirements, the Resident Advisory Board comments from the minutes of their meeting, Form HUD 50077-SL, certification by state or local officials, Form HUD 50077-STHDV-HP, PHA certifications of compliance with the PHA plan, civil rights and related laws and regulations. Resolution approving and the annual plan FY 2024, resolution number FY 2023-020. Whereas pursuant to Section 511 of the Quality Housing and Work Responsibility Act, or QHWRA of 1998, the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority is mandated to develop and submit a public housing agency, PHA, annual plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. And whereas the PHA plan FY 2024 is a comprehensive guide to the authority's policies, programs, operations, and strategies for meeting local housing needs and goals for implementation for the upcoming fiscal year. And whereas the goals and objectives of the PHA plan FY 2024 are consistent with Guam's 5-year consolidated plan, which identifies and prioritizes the housing and community development needs of Guam. And whereas this PHA plan was prepared in accordance with 24 CFR Part 903, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority hereby approves the annual PHA plan for the fiscal year 2024, beginning October 1st, 2023. And I'd just like to say that, I like to commend all the divisions for their input in submitting what is needed for the 5-year or for the annual PHA plan that has to be submitted every year. So thank you to all the divisions at GHURA.
Thank you, Madam Director. So I have a question. I'm looking at page 29 of 77, plan elements under B1. It's noted under A that there are 3 elements that have been revised: the operations and management, grievance procedures, and home ownership programs. Then when I look at the summary, unless it's different, right? Under B of your first page 25 of 77. It notes operations and management and home ownership program, but it doesn't talk about the grievance. Should that be added into the summary? No.
I'm sorry, again, you're looking at B and then under the PHA plan elements?
That's correct. Should that
Okay.
include the grievance procedures as the elements that were updated? No.
It falls under the public housing program.
Oh, okay.
But Ms. Philly?
No, I'm just looking at the summary part, right?
Yeah,
I know it's here. I know it's here, but under your summary. I was just wondering if that should be included in the summary. I guess here.
oh,
Yeah.
listed as like number 3 is what you're saying under,
Yeah, that's correct.
well, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Philly, but see how it says PHA plan elements and then number 1, operations and management, and then it has section 8, housing choice voucher and public housing. And so if you go to page 29 of 77, under the plan elements, so section 8, housing choice voucher program has its summary there, and then the public housing program has its summary. So the grievance procedures falls under those programs. And then it says home ownership program as a separate. So I think because if you look at page 29 of 77,
Right.
it's really under the operations and management of section 8 and public housing program. So I don't think it needs to be a separate item,
Okay.
like a number 3.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
I guess the biggest change in the grievance was the addition of remote informal hearings.
Yes.
Right, to include that. How much of that actually happens? Well, I mean, aside from, like when we have pandemic and things like that, but on a normal basis, is that a mode of choice now?
It's a model choice,
It
yes.
is,
Say more than half, no? Prefer.
prefer that. And is that a choice that we give them, or is that a mode that we instill because of conditions or working conditions?
We're open to both. Sometimes it's just for reasonable accommodation, especially those with disability. You know, prefer that to just do their grievance over the phone.
Okay.
Sometimes it's transportation,
Okay.
but
There's convenience.
yeah. So it's an option. And so it depends also on the hearing officer because we have to schedule it. So as an example, if they're offering you a telephonic hearing, but you want it in person, then we would work to accommodate that. If it's in person and you want it telephonic, we work to accommodate that. So either way, we need our mandate to have the hearing, you know, within a reasonable time.
Okay. When we align with the Guam, the 5-year consolidated plan. Because it's saying here, right, that the goals and objectives for the fiscal year 2024 are consistent with the 5-year plan.
Yes.
How much of that 5-year plan are you aligned with, just off the top of your head? I'm just curious.
Fully
Whatever the divisions have written out, and basically what they pulled from their consolidated plan, we try to stay merged together and in hand with each other. We don't want to differentiate something, what they're saying and we're not.
Okay,
So it's an extension as well to public housing section.
okay,
Yeah, public housing or PIC, public aided housing to include section 8 is pretty consistent, really no change there. Though with CDBG and their action plan, we may anticipate a pivot towards more housing just because of the disaster and
Right.
other factors.
right,
But I think public housing, public aided housing is pretty much consistent.
okay. Okay. I have no further questions. Commissioners, you have any other questions? None? Okay, can you get a motion on the floor?
Chairman, I will motion to approve resolution number FY 2023-20, resolution approving the annual PH8 plan FY 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. May I get a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Rice, for the second. Any further discussion on the matter? Hearing and seeing none, may call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 5, intent to award IFB number GHURA-23-13- renovation of 8 women living dog units. Madam Director.
Thank you, Chairman. Intent of award IFB number GHURA-23-13 mod renovation of 8 Guma Tranquilidad units. Bid opening for the subject project was held on June 21st, 2023 at 2:00 p.m. A total of 7 contractors registered to bid on project GHURA-23-13 mod renovation of 8 Guma Tranquilidad units, of which all submitted a bid. Listed below are the results of the bid submissions, which were opened and read out aloud publicly. Actually, sorry, I think if we said we had a total of 7 contractors registered, and we only show 5 submitted a bid, I think we need to correct that. Is Mr. Sunny
Yes.
present?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Sunny, am I correct? We have a typo that not all submitted a bid, only 5 submitted a bid?
Sorry, Miss Liz. No, it's accurate. 7 registered. So when they do the registration process with procurement, they'll only 5 submitted a bid.
Right.
Okay, so I think I need to correct that it, instead of saying of which all submitted a bid, 5 submitted a bid. That's what I meant. Okay, thank you.
And then there was also a correction on the government estimate. It is not 224,450. That is a typo. The correct government estimate shows up on page 55.
Page 55, and that is, oh, yeah,
181,000.
it's just 181,305.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm so sorry that we did not catch that.
There is a correction.
Okay, let me go through the list of contractors.
Sorry, Ms. Liz, just to go back, for clarification for the record, in this line 2, under the body should read a total of 5 contractors bid on project GHURA -23-13.
Oh, so it's a total of 5.
There are
Wait,
two.
a total of 7 contractors registered to bid.
That's
However, of which
previously.
5 submitted a bid.
However, or we could just stick to those that actually bid and just a total of 5 contractors bid on the project. I think that's the main takeaway.
Okay,
Got it.
so let's make the corrections. Okay, listed below are the results. I'm sorry, commissioners, for that error that we didn't even notice. Listed below are the results of the bid submissions, which were opened and read out aloud publicly. Contractor number 1, Ian Corporation, with a bid bond of 15%. Base bid number 1, $303,400. Contractor number 2, Genesis Tech Corporation, with a cashier check of $35,500 under the bid bond. Base bid number 1 of $224,450. Contractor number 3, Guam Evergreen Corporation, with a bid bond of 15% and a base bid number 1 of $253,000. Contractor number 4, Surface Solution, with a bid bond of 15%, a base bid number 1 of $263,516. And contractor number 5, OH Construction, with a bid bond of 15%, base bid number 1 of $227,000. And as corrected by Sunny, with a government estimate of $181,305. The intent of the project is to modernize units as per scope of work. Base bid 1 consists of 8 units at Gumat Tranquilidad. All 8 units are located in Tuman. Modernization includes, but is not limited to, cleaning building interiors and common areas, replacing exterior and interior doors, carpentry, painting, plumbing, sewer replacement, and electrical work. A detailed scope of work is included in the bid documents for review. In review of the bid results, Genesis Tech Corp provided the lowest responsive and responsible bid. Genesis Tech Corporation has completed several major GHURA projects over the last 12 years with good standing. They also have been cleared by the Department of Labor Compliance, OSHA, and EPLS debarred list. See attached verification. Based on the AE staff's review and determination, we are requesting approval to issue the contract to Genesis Tech Corporation for the total amount of $224,450. Funding is available under the Capital Fund program. And Sunny is here should you have any questions regarding this award.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Hey, Sonny. Good to see you again,
Sure.
sir. You were mentioning earlier the correct amount was on page 55.
Yes, sir.
So is it 224,450 or is it 181,305?
It's 181,305, the government estimates.
Got it.
Yeah, it was, yes, they don't correspond to quote.
The quote and the actual.
Yeah,
I was wondering why
it was just,
Genesis,
yes,
translating it.
it's a mis,
that we are intent to award Genesis in the amount of 224,450. Yeah.
Just a couple observations. Sunny, you could speak to this, right? I mean, in the past, when we've seen it, the trend was for the government estimates to be a lot lower than some of the bids that we got in, right? Now this is kind of on the reverse side. And if my math is right, it's about almost 24% higher than the government estimate.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Well,
Yeah.
okay,
Where's that coming from? Just curious.
okay. Part of it, sir, is the bid document was prepared back in January. January 31st, and so when we prepared the estimate at 181,305, that was the price that we had estimated for the industry at the time. And so by the time we went out for procurement and closed it 6 months or so later, of course, we anticipated all the market volatility and demands, et cetera. So of course you have the higher prices.
Okay.
Now, if it's on the flip side, right, which you will be running into, I think, on old business intent to award number 1,
Right.
where you have the government estimate is a lot higher
Right.
than the actual award
Right.
amount. It oftentimes, because of the material demands on island, many of the contractors that we deal with, most of the time, they're prepared and they've already started to stock up on items that are common to the bid things that we go out for bid for, like doors, windows. They already know the standards that we have and that we won't change them because just for the mere fact of just for standardization. So they bring in a larger amount of materials, which of course they still have to go through approving with us, of course, right? But for the most part, they've seen it on a trend that this is going to be our standard. And so it's kind of like, it's similar to buying a bunch of toilet paper or paper towels, right? You don't wait for the price to go up. If you see a discount or a sale at Home Depot or Townhouse, just buy as much as you can because quality doesn't really change. And so in the same way, that's what contractors are kind of doing right now because they have to compete with the likes of the Black Instructions, the Vortex, and the other contractors that are for military work. Right. So that's what they're doing. And also, they're being smart right now with teaming up with suppliers. And suppliers that provide and qualify, I should say, that provide qualified materials to us, doors, windows, what have you. A good example was this one project that we had, but we ended up canceling it, was the basketball court with the canopy over at Torture. We projected a budget of $1.5 million, similar to what Sinahanya has, because they wanted a basketball court with the canopy. And we estimated easy $1.5 million. Well, this one contractor came back with almost half of that, with half of that bid because the structural steel was coming out of Vietnam. And we did the research, of course, and we did their due diligence, and we determined that Vietnam was one of those Buy American qualified companies. And so from there, that contractor had a very good relationship with a supplier. He was able to pass on that savings to GHURA.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what's happening.
And so on the other side of that, we're seeing more people bidding. Is that a good sign? That we have more contractors bidding. Is that a trend you're seeing now that we are going to get more? Or is this just an anomaly?
Well, it depends. I think we're getting more when here, I'm gonna put it this way, when build-up activities start to slow down or there's a lull, we end up getting more of the smaller subcontractors. But when they start ramping up and getting busy again, we start seeing more. You can kind of predict how the military build-up is moving by the number of contractors. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Any other questions? Please stand. Okay, so hearing no other discussions, may I call for the vote?
I'm sorry, Dr. John.
Yes.
I apologize, there is one more correction. On page 52 of 77, the last sentence there says funding is available under the capital fund program. It's really Guma Tranquil. It's really made a correction.
Under agreement. Thank you for that correction. Okay, may I call for the vote?
All right, Mr. Chair, I guess I move to approve GURA 2023-13 for the renovation of Guma Tranquilidad to award Genesis Tech in the amount of $224,450.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Suzaki. May I get a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Rice, for the second. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 6, RFQ number GHURA -12-14-22 for legal services. Madam Director.
Thank you, Chairman. The intended award for GHURA 23-0094, agency-RFQ number GH-12-14-22, legal counsel services. The opening for the subject services was held on December 19th, 2022 at 5:00 p.m. A total of 4 legal services submitted a bid. Listed below is the result of the bid submissions, which was opened and evaluated. The legal services who bid were McDonald Law Offices, Brooks Conception Law, PC, Law Office of Anthony Perez, and Law Offices of Vanessa L. Williams, PC. The intent of the service is based on the following evaluation factors criteria. Evaluation factors were the proposers' demonstrated experience providing general counsel with a score of 10 points. The proposers demonstrated experience in litigation resulting from government programs and administration, 8 points. The proposers demonstrated experience in solicitation using local, federal, or other similar rules of procurement, 0 points. The proposers demonstrated experience with administrative proceedings serving as counsel or as the presiding officer, 15 points. The proposers demonstrated ability and capability to develop and maintain practical knowledge of HUD rules, regulations, requirements, laws, and related procedures, general knowledge of various programs of HUD or similar federal programs, 20 points. In review of the bid results, GHURA recommended to proceed with the issuing of the award to the McDonald Law Office. And if you have any questions, we will try to answer them for you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I think that's a typo. It's not 0 points for procurement.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That third item there, the demonstration and solicitation of local, federal, and other similar procurement roles.
Yeah, I believe that's 10 points.
That can't be 0, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
So if I may, remember back when, before we got our in-house legal counsel hired,
Right.
we were pursuing a small procurement for professional services.
Right.
Even though we went with the direction to hire legal counsel, however, we're still in need for conflicts counsel.
Right.
And so we went ahead with, that procurement. It's only up to, for services of up to 25,000. So if we don't use it at all, then we don't spend a dime on it, but it's there available as needed. Yeah, the delay was, I'll go back and check my records, but I believe after we did the bid opening, then because of the law, we had to send it to get looked at by the AG's office, and that took quite a while.
Right. There's also a transition in AG. Right, so.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Okay. I remember. This, yeah. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah. Yes, so we capped it at 25,000 for the legal fees, right?
Because it's legally capped at 25,000. Yes, Mr. Commissioner, because it was a small purchase for professional services, so there's the cap there.
Okay. How much have we spent annually for legal services?
We can go back and look. We can provide a copy for you. We'll have to get with finance and pull some old record on that. But I think it really does depend on the amount of legal work. I think there are definitely some years where it was a considerable amount. And if we refer back to our analysis and determination to have in-house legal counsel was to be able to better budget and amortize the legal services over time. But we'll get those numbers to you, Mr. Commissioner.
Yes, thank you for that, Dee Dee. And the other thing too is, although GHURA had never had an in-house legal counsel, with many of the changes that have been happening in, with the different programs and everything, we decided maybe it's time that we did hire a legal counsel to go over outdated maybe SOPs, policies, etc. That need to be updated. So we think we were fortunate enough to have Eliseo Florig join the GHURA team.
All right. Okay. Any other questions? If there are none, may I call for motion?
Mr. Chair, motion to award the intent to award, motion to intent to award RFQ number GHURA-12-14-22 for legal services.
Thank you very much.
Shoe Legal Office of the General Law.
Thank you very much. May I get a second on the motion? Thank you, Commissioner Rice, for the second. Any further discussion on the matter? Hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote? All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. For intent to award RFQ number GHURA-12-14-22 for legal services awarded to McDonald Law Office. Moving on to item number 5, business intent to award IFP GHURA-23-14-mod 7 AMP4 renovation of 7 AMP units. Right, this was from last time. Madam Director.
Thank you. The intent of award for IFB number GHURA-23-14 mod renovation of 7 AMP4 units. Bid opening for the subject project was held on April 6, 2023 at 2:00 p.m. A total of 4 contractors purchased a set of bid specifications, of which all submitted a bid. Listed below are the results of the bid submissions, which were opened and read out loud publicly. Contractor number 1 was Eon Corporation with a bid bond of 15% and a base bid number 1 of $364,771. Contractor number 2 was Genesis Tech Corporation with a bid bond of 15%, a base bid of $225,000. Contractor number 3 was Guam Evergreen Corporation with a bid bond of 15% and base bid number 1 of $212,600. And contractor number 4 was OH Construction with a bid bond of 15% and a base bid number 1 of $188,500. The government estimate is $222,740. The intent of the project is to modernize units as per scope of work. Base bid 1 consists of 7 vacant units at the AMP4 sites. Of these 7 vacant units, 5 units are located in Dededo and 2 in Totu. Modernization includes, but is not limited to, cleaning building interiors and common areas, replacing exterior and interior doors, carpentry, painting, plumbing, sewer replacement, and electrical work. A detailed scope of work is included in the bid documents for review. In review of the bid results, OH Construction provided the lowest responsive and responsible bid. OH Construction has completed several GHURA projects over the last 3 years with good standing. They also have been cleared by the Department of Labor Compliance, OSHA, and EPLS debarred list. See attached verification. Based on AE staff's review and determination, we are requesting approval to issue the contract to OH Construction for the total amount of $188,500. Funding is available under the Capital Fund program.
Thank you very much. I think this one is pretty standard. Richard, do we have a question? If not, may call for the motion.
Chair, I move that we approve the intent of award for IFB number GHURA -23-14 renovation of 7 amp units. 7 units are AMP4 units. 202 OH construction at $180,500.
Thank you, Commissioner Rice, for the motion. May I get a second?
I second
Second.
that, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Shizaki, for the second. All right, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, may call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 2, change order number 1, IFB number GHURA -08-25-2022 AMP4 replacement of AMP4 maintenance shop extension. Madam Director.
Thank you, Chairman Rivera. If I may request, please, that we table this item under old business due to the fact that it's still under review. Should you have any questions, Sunny is present to answer them.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will table that. Moving on to item number 3. Change order number 2, IFB number GHURA -09-26-2019 CDBG, construction of Lighthouse Recovery Center for Women.
And thank you, Chairman Rivera. This item also, if we may please table it at this time. We have been meeting with the contractor and we continue to take other matters into consideration. We will bring it back to the agenda when we have a resolution.
Okay. We'll table that, but does commissioners have any questions on that one? Okay,
If Sunny's around, I'd like to get an update.
sure. Sunny's here. Sunny, you want to come to the front so you can see? Wants to put you in the hot seat.
Yeah, Mr. Commissioner, Director Napoli, Madam Director, has a presentation regarding the Women's Treatment Center, sir, upcoming.
Thank you, Sunny.
There's a presentation. Do we have an, I guess, idea when that presentation is going to be?
What's in the project?
General, just, or sorry,
Oh,
Executive
oh, it is
Director.
there. Okay, got it. Project updates. Okay, then let's move on to item number 6 on the director's report for the project updates, and we'll hit that.
So I believe we're going to ask Audrey if we can share screen for the project updates, and Sunny can go through the project updates for you.
let me have Miss Audrey make the screen bigger. Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners, Madam Director, and Mr. Deputy, and thank you for allowing me to make this presentation. I'm standing up here. This is the project update for the Executive Director's report. Next slide, please, Ms. Audrey. Okay. Under the project updates, we'll discuss about what happened to some of our projects post-Mawar, as well as which ones have their completed repairs. Okay, next please. Okay. A few days after the storm, I had staff visit the projects that were completed. And as you notice, the pneumatic baseball field sustained some damage to their dugouts. You can see there are missing tin roofs, pieces of tin roofing from the dugouts. This was about 4 or 5 days right after the storm. And so we notified the contractor and they came back and repaired it. So next slide, please, Ms. Audrey. So they took pictures of the repairs and the completed dugouts. So this is for the pneumatic baseball field. The rest of the baseball field was not damaged. The lights were fully functional. So we were in good shape. All right, next slide, please, Ms. Audrey. The Inarahan basketball court sustained very minimal to no damage, except for a downspout over at the that little stand where the bleachers were at. One of the downspouts came loose, and so we notified the contractor to, of course, put the downspout back up. But apart from that, the lights, the basketball court itself were, of course, remained standard and no damage whatsoever to any of the fencing as well. Okay. Next slide, please. For the Lighthouse Recovery Center, okay, this is the original rendering of the project, and I put up there a red circle just to show you like a reference where we're at when we take the pictures. So next slide, please, Ms. Audrey. As you can see, the first roof has already been completed, and Inland Builders, as of July 6, 2023, we're putting up already preparing for the second roof or the higher roof of the project. Okay, next slide, please, Ms. Audrey. And these are the details, the roofing details of Inland Builders' progress. And as you can see, they're prepared to have a roofing pour. Actually, it's today. About 1 o'clock today, the final pour will occur. Now, they did run into some problems. Of course, some debris had some damages, but they've been cleared out. And they did run into a few delays as far as concrete goes, because Hawaiian Rock sustained some damages to their generator. And so Hawaiian Rock wasn't able to make deliveries for about 2 weeks. So there's a slight delay in their project, but they're still secure, or they're still sure that the project closeout or completion will be in September, mid to late September. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, these are pictures of the 2 other projects that we have, the 2 homes projects. The Agate home project was undamaged, no damage was sustained. However, on the Pinal Homes project, there were some paint that was removed and a tree that had fallen onto a nearby fence. So the contractor was notified and the fence was repaired. And that concludes my presentation, or the presentation for Madam Director.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sunny. Commissioner, do you have any questions?
Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. Women's Treatment Center project is at 70% as of today.
Setting PTA. Completion.
Completion, we're looking at September 30th as fully completed. Substantial completion sometime late August, around late to mid September. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any more questions? If not, Madam Director, moving on to you.
Yes, thank you. And if I can just indulge you in a few more minutes of your time, I would like to give you some updates on what GHURA has been up to. So post-Maui disaster recovery efforts are ongoing, and GHURA continues to provide the outreach activities at the shelter for the next 3 weeks to answer housing program questions and assist with online applications. They were asked to do this because, they were finding that it was helpful to many of the shelterees. Deputy Director Esteves' recent status update to HUD regarding our Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher clients indicated that our GHURA staff had been in contact with 2,648 of our voucher households, and that visits to the shelters confirmed that there are no shelterees that are actually our GHURA clients. And as we reported the last time, our public housing, we don't have any families that were displaced as a result of Typhoon Mawar. Okay, and then GHURA continues to have an integral role in the Civil Military Coordination Council, or the CMCC, which in a December 2022 meeting, Deputy Director Esteves was designated as a civilian co-chair of the Affordable Housing Working Group. He will be working in collaboration with the military co-chair counterpart, and he really has worked diligently in researching the civilian/military housing issues and concerns, and will be working, with his counterpart in the military side towards recommendations and solutions to the housing affordability crisis that we're experiencing, with a lot of it having to do with the military buildup. If you have any questions for Deputy Director regarding that role, please feel free to ask them. Okay. Moving on. Okay. GHURA is pleased to have, you may have noticed in our law administrative area, GHURA is pleased to have 7 youth who are part of the Governor's Summer Youth Employment Program working here. They're doing an excellent job assisting in the administrative, procurement, fiscal, and RP&E sections. They are really a welcome, addition for having these departments be able to catch up with some tasks that they're not able to do in their regular positions. And it's a good learning experience for the youth as well. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's West Region Field Operations Division for Multifamily Housing Rural Development will be at Gumat Tranquilidad tomorrow, July 12th, to complete a supervisory visit and compliance review. It's a management supervision and servicing type of visit that will include building and grounds maintenance inspection, review of tenant files, applications and appeals procedure, and the affirmative fair housing marketing plan. So they just really want to make sure that, our multifamily Gumat Tranquilidad site is doing well in all those areas. And I commend Pearl for really making sure that the files, etc., that they are requesting to review when they visit tomorrow are ready for them. Rebecca Borja, as you know, the Senior Community Planning Development Representative in the HUD Honolulu Field Office, conducted the FY 2023 home program monitoring from June 26th to June 30th. She will be providing a report within 60 days from her visit. Additionally, we just learned that she will be returning to Guam from July 31st to August 11th. as FEMA's mission assigned staff from the HUD Honolulu field office. Rebecca will be working with the other federal agencies on the recovery support function for the Housing Recovery Plan deliverable. We welcome her returning to do that. With President Biden's major disaster declaration for Guam following Typhoon Mawar and the availability of waivers of community planning and development grant program and consolidated plan requirements to facilitate recovery from Typhoon Mawar, and at the direction of Governor Lourdes Leon Guerrero, GHURA with its CPD or CD-RPNE group assistance will be submitting Guam's intention to utilize the statutory suspensions and or waiver flexibilities that will address damage and facilitate recovery from Mawar in hopes of its approval. GHURA's community development and RPNE staff are also fortunate to be meeting with staff from the NMI Housing Authority this week. They will provide guidance on the CDBG-disaster recovery process as they were awarded $245+ million following back-to-back storms that they experienced in 2018. We feel that the insight they provide will assist GHURA with the planning and actions needed in preparation for the CDBG-disaster recovery funding award that we hope to receive. In turn, our CD and RPNE staff will provide guidance on the continuum of care programs process and assist the NMI Housing Authority with working with subrecipients of CDBG Emergency Solutions Grant funding. So we feel it's a win-win collaboration with our island neighbors, and we are really very appreciative of their coming to GHURA to for us to work together in towards our mission, right, and their mission. Okay, GHURA will be participating in the 2023 Governor's Land Summit that is scheduled for July 25th. The last such summit was actually held 20 years ago. The invitation to the summit indicates that key representatives from the Guam agencies will convene to make detailed analysis of land inventories, lands reserved, land needs, and make administrative policy and legislative recommendations. So the team from GHURA will include myself, Kathy Titano from Community Development, and Kathy Titano from RPNE, and Jolyn Terlahi from Community Development. Unfortunately, our awesome DD has a conflicting schedule, so he's not able to join us that day. And then in line with interagency collaborative efforts to benefit our people, particularly with increasing the inventory of affordable housing units, GHURA was asked if they could assist with the Guam Housing Corporation's multifamily renovation and modernization project that they have with about 46 units up in the Lada area of Dededo. And as a result, and in with consultation with their board of directors and approval by the board of directors, GHURA has entered into a memorandum of agreement with the Guam Housing Corporation just for our AE division to act as a consultant and provide technical recommendations with their multifamily renovation and modernization project. And I just want to say, anytime we can be of service in some way or other towards the mission for especially the affordable housing crisis that we are experiencing, we are glad to try to assist the island. And thank you to the A&E division for stepping up and saying, okay, we can help and provide consultative services. And then lastly, GHURA's program divisions will be submitting their 2024 budgets by tomorrow, July 12th, in preparation for presentation of the budget for fiscal year 2024 to the Board of Commissioners for approval sometime in our August meeting. And that's it. Unless you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, have any questions? No? Okay, thank you very much, Madam Director. Moving on to item number 7, general discussion and announcements. Ms. Kim, I know you have one.
That's the day again. I promise to be my last course at the end. But basically, in April, I was advising the board, thank you for finishing the 6 months. We're heading into their annual very shortly. So I emailed the board sometime last month, the evals. So I'm respectfully requesting with the schedule, the sooner the better. Director Liz's evaluation according to our adjustments and approved by the board in January 2022 does not result in a pay adjustment for a performance, but the deputy director does. So I'm respectfully requesting we could meet the honor before, because if it's late, it hurts the deputy. So the sooner you get it in, I appreciate it, so we can report back. And then that will be what's needed to complete his assessment, his evaluation for both positions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next proposed scheduled board meeting is Tuesday, July 25th, also in 2023 at 12 noon. As usual, Audrey or one of their wonderful staff here will send out the announcements just to make sure that everybody make it, right? Any other further discussion or announcements?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if we could just go back to item 5, old business, and that'll be item number 3. Change order number 2. The ED had requested to table the matter, but there was a question by Commissioner Ishigaki. And then we moved to item number 6, so that we could talk about the women's treatment center. So I just need to find out if we're gonna go ahead and table that matter for the next meeting.
Sure, yeah, the item number 3 was tabled.
Oh, it was tabled.
Yes,
Okay, I
it
just
was
wanted to
tabled.
make sure. Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the order was, it was tabled and then Commissioners documented an update, which was in the
On
director's
the
report.
treatment center. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for keeping us great. Any further discussion or announcements? Okay, if none, may I get a motion to adjourn?
And approve adjournment for our board commissions meeting on July 11, 2020.
Okay, thank you very much. Make a second. Thank you very much, Commissioner Rice, the second. Any opposed? Hearing seeing none, our meeting is adjourned at 1:50 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chief.